everyone, and welcome back! Today, we're diving deep into one of the most heart-wrenching and pivotal moments in the story. After Fengju lost her tail, she was placed in Kunlun Mountain for treatment. Emperor Donghua came to visit her. When Fengju woke up and saw Emperor Donghua, she curled up in his arms. Fengju deliberately addressed Emperor Donghua as Your Majesty, as if she and Emperor Donghua were still husband and wife in the mortal world. Fengju slowly told Emperor Donghua about how he carried her in the rain when they were in the mortal world. Emperor Donghua did not speak, but looked at Fengju with eyes full of tenderness.
Fengju asked Emperor Donghua if they could wait until the rain stopped before leaving. Emperor Donghua agreed.
Fengju then smiled and said, I know you are Emperor Donghua. I was just teasing you. Fengju and Emperor Donghua spoke sweet words to each other. Emperor Donghua did not reject Fengju, but gently held her in his arms with tenderness. After Fengju fell asleep again, Emperor Donghua gently kissed Fengju's forehead and left. Before leaving, Emperor Donghua told Bai Qian and the others not to tell Fengju that he had been there. Bai Qian stayed by Fengju's side all night. When Fengju woke up in the morning, Bai Qian finally felt relieved. Fengju thought about how she and the emperor had embraced passionately the night before, and how the emperor looked at her with such doting eyes. Fengju thought it was just a beautiful dream. Bai Qian repeatedly warned Fengju not to do anything foolish again.
After all that, Fengju suddenly understood.
She told Bai Qian that cutting off her tail was like dying once, and she had figured out many things. Bai Qian was happy, thinking that Fengju had decided to let go of the emperor. But Fengju said that there is still a long time ahead, and she would always find a way. Seeing how devoted Fengju was, even though Bai Qian knew that she and the emperor would not have a future, she knew that it would be useless to say anything more now that Fengju was so deeply in love. Su Jin finally carved the doll of Susu and transformed it into Susu's appearance. Xinnu asked in confusion why the Empress had worked so hard for so many days and what the purpose of creating this person was. Su Jin replied that she wanted this Susu doll to go to the mortal world to accompany the Hua through his tribulations. Su Jin believed that after Bai Qian fell in love with the Hua, she would be just as jealous as she was of Susu and the Hua's past. Her intention was to make Bai Qian believe that she was just a substitute for Susu, and to use jealousy to make Bai Qian suffer and leave the Hua. Su Jin specially named the doll Susu. Several years have passed in the mortal realm. The Hua is now 18 years old, a top scholar, revered by the people.
Su Jin placed the doll Susu in front of the Hua's mansion, selling herself to pay for her father's funeral.
The Hua saw the familiar figure and mistook it for the fairy from Qingku, who had promised to marry him when he was a child. Excitedly, he went forward, but found that although the appearance was similar, it was not the person he had in his heart.
The doll Susu, taking advantage of the Hua's sympathy, successfully entered the Hua's mansion to serve him.
The day Mo Yuan was to go into seclusion was
Drawing near.
For 6 consecutive days. Bai Qian had been diligently preparing the necessary pills for his retreat in the alchemy room. Xilan came to visit Bai Qian, and the two sat down to reminisce. They recalled the day they went up the mountain together to become Mo Yuan's disciples, and how Mo Yuan had given Bai Qian the Jade Purity Kunlun fan, a magical artifact. Because of this, Bai Qian had only been able to perform the ritual 17 times, calling Xilan's senior brother for 70,000 years. These memories were as vivid as if they had happened yesterday. Now, 70,000 years had passed, and their master's spirit had finally returned to its rightful place. Bai Qian and Xilan were deeply moved. Bai Qian had a feeling that her senior brother Xilan had met someone he loved, but no matter how she asked, he wouldn't confess. Bai Qian playfully slapped him, but she hadn't expected that Xilan, who had sacrificed half his cultivation for Yuan Ye, couldn't withstand the blow and coughed up blood, truly frightening Bai Qian. Although Xilan said nothing, Bai Qian knew that his current state was due to his fleeting romance.
Mo Yuan is about to go into seclusion, and his fellow disciples are also returning to their respective posts.
Bai Qian asks Xilan what his plans are.
Xilan tells
Bai Qian that he once made a vow, and now that his wish has been fulfilled,
He will definitely keep his vow and go to protect the Sea of Nothingness until he returns to chaos. The next day, Bai Qian went to deliver the pills to Mo Yuan. Mo Yuan accepted the pills without saying a word. Bai Qian hesitated and asked, "Master, is there anything you need to tell me?" Mo Yuan looked at Bai Qian and smiled faintly. "When will you and the Hua get married?" Bai Qian happily told her master that it would be in the spring of October. Bai Qian was overjoyed at the mention of her marriage to the Hua. Mo Yuan paused and instructed, 17. The Heavenly Palace is not like Kunlun Mountain. There are many rules. You must restrain your temper and not cause trouble. Bai Qian happily told her master that when she caused trouble in Kunlun Mountain, her master always took responsibility for her mistakes. She kept all of this in her heart. Now that she had the Hua, he would take good care of her and would definitely not let her cause trouble. Bai Qian hoped that she could wait until her master came out of seclusion. At that time, she would definitely kowtow to her master and offer him a cup of fresh tea. After saying this, Bai Qian bid farewell to Mo Yuan, who stood there for a long time. All of Bai Qian's senior brothers had already left Kunlun Mountain and returned to their respective posts. Before Bai Qian left, her second senior brother handed her the soul-binding lamp that she had left in the West Sea, telling her that it was retrieved for her by her eldest senior brother.
Bai Qian only blamed herself for being careless, as she had almost forgotten this sacred artifact of the Heavenly Clan in the West Sea. After Mo Yuan entered the pass,
Bai Qian thought that the Hua should be 17 or 18 years old now. This age is when mortals are at their most vibrant and promising. She wondered what the Hua would look like now. Thinking of this, Bai Qian couldn't contain her excitement and left Kunlun Mountain to go to the mortal realm. When Bai Qian arrived at the Lue family, she learned that the Hua had already passed the imperial examination and was now a high-ranking official. Bai Qian thought that the Hua was, after all, the crown prince of the Heavenly Clan. Even as a mortal, his brilliance was unmatched by others. Thinking of this, she was even more eager to see what the Hua looked like now, so she quickly made a hand seal and headed to the capital. Finally, Bai Qian saw the Hua in the back garden of the minister's mansion. The Hua was dressed in black casual clothes, drinking and admiring peach blossoms with a woman in white. She didn't know what the woman said, but the Hua smiled at her. This smile was really irritating to Bai Qian. Bai Qian was secretly angry. It had only been 6 days since she last saw him. Had he given her the token of love for nothing? He really had gotten himself into this mess of peach blossom trouble because of her. Bai Qian was jealous and was about to step forward when she suddenly heard Su Jin's voice behind her.
Bai Qian turned around and Su Jin bowed slightly to greet her. Bai Qian looked at Su Jin, who was dressed in mortal clothes, and frowned, asking, "Why are you here?"
Su Jin smiled and said, "Your Majesty is alone in the mortal realm undergoing tribulations. I was worried that you would be lonely, so I specially made the person you long for and placed her by your side to keep you company. I just happened to be passing by today to see if the person I made for your Majesty is serving you well." Bai Qian was just too busy being jealous. But after hearing what Su Jin said, she took a good look at the woman herself and found that she was indeed a puppet. Bai Qian replied casually, "Thank you for your thoughtfulness." Su Jin had no intention of giving up so easily.
She looked at Bai Qian with eager eyes and asked, "Does the High God know whose image I made this doll in?"
The doll had its back to Bai Qian, and Bai Qian couldn't tell anything special about it at first glance. Su Jin stepped forward and asked, "Has the High God heard of the name Susu?" Bai Qian's heart skipped a beat. Su Jin really knew her weakness. How could she not know the name of Ali's mother, who jumped off the Juxian terrace, the wife that the Hua deeply loved? But ever since Bai Qian learned of the Hua's feelings for her, she had locked up all of Susu's things in Yilan Feng Hua, vowing never to open them again and cause herself any more trouble. However, whenever she thought that she wasn't the first person the Hua had ever loved, Bai Qian always felt regret and sadness. Su Jin, observing Bai Qian's expression, said, "Your Majesty, there's no need to worry. Now that the Emperor is immortal, he can't tell that the puppet in front of him is a fake. This will fulfill his long-cherished dream." Once the emperor returns to his true form, even if the puppet is replaced by Su, how could the emperor possibly notice a fake?
Bai Qian understood the meaning behind Su Jin's words.
Has just discovered that Su Jin created a puppet look-alike of her mortal self. And worse, the Hua has taken notice. Bai Qian, with a dry chuckle, confronts Su Jin. Aren't you afraid the Hua will blame you for deceiving him when he finds out?
But Su Jin, ever the master of manipulation, plays the innocent card.
She claims she just placed the puppet on the street, and it was the Hua's own choice to bring it into his home.
Then, she delivers a cutting blow.
Does the High God know, she asks, that His Majesty has been using the soul-binding lamp for 300 years to gather Susu's essence? This revelation hits Bai Qian like a bolt of lightning. 300 years! Was the Hua trying to recreate his lost love? Su. A tidal wave of doubt crashes over her. Did the Hua only love her? Bai Qian, because she looked like Susu.
The thought is agonizing.
But she's the high god of Chinku, and she won't give Su Jin the satisfaction of seeing her break.
With icy composure, she replies,
You seem to understand love quite well. No wonder you could stay by his side as a neglected concubine for 200 years. She even thanks Su Jin for creating the puppet, saying it saves her a lot of trouble, and promises to put in a good word if the Hua gets angry. Su Jin's forced smile freezes on her face. She can only manage a week, thank you. High God, before leaving, her plan completely back, but alone. Bai Qian's composure crumbles. She returns to the 10-mile peach grove in a daze. Her brother, Bai Zuan, sees her distress and asks, What's wrong? Bai Qian pours out her heart. The Hua said he liked her, but she never understood why. Now, she fears the awful truth.
If he only loves her because of his dead wife,
Drinks pot after pot of wine, trying to drown her sorrows. But her eyes keep landing on that cursed soul-binding lamp. The very lamp the Hua used to collect Susu's soul. In a fit of rage, she tries to extinguish it, but the flame won't go out. It's a stubborn, infuriating reminder of the Hua's undying love for another woman. Finally, she snaps. With a wave of her hand, the lamp crashes to the floor, shattering into 1,000 pieces. And in that instant, everything changes. As the lamp shatters, a flood of memories, long suppressed and forgotten, rushes back into her mind. It's not just a lamp that broke. It's a seal. A seal on her own past. The story she'd been told that she slept for over 200 years after her battle with Qing Kang was a lie. She remembers it all now, being sealed, losing her powers and memories. Becoming immortal on Mount Junji. She remembers being called Su. She remembers being Ali's mother. She remembers being the woman who, in utter despair, jumped from the Juxian terrace. They weren't two different people. Susu was never just a dead woman. The Hua couldn't forget. Susu was her. Migyu and Fenju came to see Bai Qian. Bai Qian told them that she was Susu from that day. Fenju exclaimed that if her aunt was really Susu from that day, then she must have suffered a lot of grievances in the heavenly palace. Bai Qian calmly told them that when she was going through her tribulation, Su Jin took away her eyes. She thought that it was not appropriate for her to keep those eyes, and she was not very comfortable keeping them.
Bai Qian asked Fengju if she should take back those eyes.
Fenju told her aunt the truth, that if Susu was really her aunt, then she should definitely take them back. Bai Qian, recalling all the humiliations and injustices she suffered as Susu,
was now furious, true to her strong-willed nature.
She went to the Lotus Pond to retrieve the Jade Purity Kunlun fan and charged straight to the Heavenly Palace. Fengju realized her aunt was going to settle scores with Su Jin. And not wanting her to suffer anymore, she quickly followed Bai Qian to the Heavenly Palace. The Heavenly Palace guards didn't recognize Fengju and stopped her at the palace gates.
Fengju could only watch helplessly as her aunt stormed into the Washing Wutong Palace alone.
Bai Qian stopped Xinnu outside the door and went straight into her palace. Su Jin was startled to see Bai Qian and exclaimed, "The High Goddess has arrived!"
Su Jin was filled with fear.
Seeing that Bai Qian was only looking at her indifferently, Su Jin forced a smile and said, I suppose the High Goddess has come to inquire about the Lord's recent situation.
Su Jin deliberately used words to provoke Bai Qian, saying,
That Susu in the mortal realm gets along very well with the Lord and takes good care of him. Bai Qian calmly replied,
That's for the best, of course. But today, I, the High Goddess, have come to inquire about you.
Bai Qian smiled dignifiedly and said,
Su Jin, you've used these eyes of mine for 300 years. How well have you used them? Su Jin suddenly looked up, her face drained of color, and stammered. What did you just say?
Bai Qian stroked her fan and laughed. 300 years ago,
this goddess suffered a love tribulation and lost my eyes to you. Today, remembering this, I came specifically to retrieve them. So, will you do it yourself, or will this goddess do it herself? Su Jin took 2 steps back, terrified, and collapsed to the ground, her lips trembling. You are, ... You are, Susu. Bai Qian impatiently said, Will you gouge them out yourself, or will this goddess do it herself?
Su Jin gripped her sleeve tightly, crying and laughing at the same time.
That woman was clearly immortal. How could it be you? Turned upside down. This changes everything for her and the Hua. What will she do with this earth-shattering knowledge? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into this amazing story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.